Now, introduction to Python. What is Python? So first of all, let's start with the overview of Python. What is Python? Python is a high-level interpreted programming language known for its readability and versatility. It supports multiple programming paradigms, including procedural, object-oriented, and functional programming. Python is widely used for web development, data analysis, artificial intelligence, scientific computing, automation, and more. So that's what Python is basically known for. And one thing about programming language, first of all, is that programming language, or most of the programming language you may have heard, are very good in one particular field than the other. So maybe someone who knows how to write JavaScript now, you can boast of the fact that JavaScript are very good for web development, especially front-end development version of your web, and sometimes you can use JavaScript for your backend. But Python is very key to areas within these paradigms, right? Web development, especially backend, data analysis, artificial intelligence, scientific computing, automation, and many more. Now, let's talk about the key features of Python. Number one, Python is easy to read and write. Like Python syntax is clear and expressive, like one of the straightforward programming language we have out there. It's very easy to write, easy to understand, just very straightforward, just English, right? Now, interpreted language, that is Python program is executed line by line. It is an interpreted language, not a compiled language. I'm going to talk more about that later, or you can check out my other programming courses or programming tips where I'm going to talk about this. So Python is an interpreted language, so that means codes are executed line by line. Then there's also dynamic typed. Python is dynamically typed, right? Variables typed are determined at runtime. There's also and it's also extensive standard library. Python comes with a rich set of libraries and modules. Yes, there are lot of libraries and modules that you can easily use or integrate into your Python code, sourcing online and see different Python modules. There are lots of pre-built libraries and modules that you can integrate into your Python programming process to boost the rate of your development. Then another thing about Python is that Python is cross-platform. That is, Python runs on various operating systems, including Mac OS, Macintosh, and Linux, right? It works on Windows, Macintosh, which is Mac OS, and Linux. And for those that knows about Android, you know that an Android device is mainly built on Linux engine. So Linux. So that is that about key features of Python. Now, applications of Python can go from web development, just as we said earlier. Python is good for web development. Python is good in the space of data science and machine learning when you're working with libraries and frameworks like pandas, NumPy, and the rest. For web, the Django, Flask, and the rest. Scripting and automation, game development, desktop GUI application, that's the graphical user interface. These are core areas where Python are very, very useful. Python is one of the big players in these spaces. Now, when it comes to installing Python is not something that is too difficult to install. I'm not going to be running the practical installation of Python. I'm just going to be taking you through the process of installing, but I'll be teaching you on how to write it fully, how to write Python programs. Now, for you to actually install Python, it's something that is very simple. First of all, you can download Python by visiting this website. You can easily download Python by visiting this website. Then you navigate to the download section and download Python. You can as well download Python by following this. So you install Python by run the installer and follow the setup wizard then that is that. So having downloaded Python, the next thing is to run the wizard and install Python on your machine. The second part can be, okay, of course you can as well verify. You can verify your Python by open your command prompt, so your command line, your CLI, and inputting this code bash python version. You can just input this, then it will tell you what version of Python you are working with. At the moment, one of the latest Python version is Python 3, so that's the latest. Now set up a development environment. IDEs and editors popular options include PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, and Jupyter Notebook. These are some of the popular Python IDEs that you can use, and for me, I'm very much familiar with using Visual Studio Code and PyCharm. Not as though I've not worked with Jupyter Notebook, but I'm very much comfortable with working with either PyCharm or Visual Studio Code. Now, how do you install an IDE? Installing an IDE is something very simple, right? How do you install an IDE? To install PyCharm, just download PyCharm from JetBrains. This is the link to download PyCharm from JetBrains. You can as well download Visual Studio Code if this is what you're comfortable with, or maybe you want to work with Visual Studio Code as well. You can just go to code.visualstudio.com to download Visual Studio Code. Then, if you're way more comfortable with working with Jupyter Notebook, you can install it via this command line. Pip install notebook. You open your command prompt. For those that are using Windows, Microsoft, you can easily tap on your Microsoft logo and search your command line or write CLI. Open your prompt, then insert this pip install notepad and launch notepad after installing. Now let's dive into writing our first Python program.